Thank you, Cheryl. Kellen, and to your fellow scouts and all the former scouts here, just want you to know how much respect I have for you. I was weeded out at the Weeblo level, so I couldn't quite cut the mustard. But as the head coach at the University of Colorado, it's an honor and a privilege to be with you today and to introduce one of our own and somebody that we're extremely proud of. It's nice when you have to introduce a guy that only goes by one name, much like Kobe or LeBron, or in the entertainment business, Prince or Madonna, or, probably didn't think you'd be compared to Prince or Madonna this morning, Chauncey. But when you say Chauncey, everybody knows who you're talking about. And that's all that you need to say. Our entire state, and certainly us at the University of Colorado, are proud of Chauncey. And there's a lot of things that make him special. To me, one of the biggest things that makes Chauncey Billups special is when he was a high school basketball player, a very good high school basketball player. I think he was the second best high school player ever to come out of the state, if I'm not mistaken. But three-time player of the year. Some people didn't get that, but Chauncey did. He could have gone anywhere in the country and taken his talents to any university, and he chose to stay home. And I think all of us here love him for that, respect him for that, and that's what makes him really, really special to all of us. He was a heck of a player. I could sit here and talk about how good he was, but to give you an indication, when he came to Colorado, we had not been to the NCAA tournament in over 30 years. And upon his arrival, we went to the NCAA tournament. That tells you what kind of an impact he had, certainly on the basketball program at CU and as he moved forward. I could stand here and talk to you about his NBA accomplishments all morning long. Third pick in the NBA draft, 5-time All-Star, NBA Finals MVP, 17 years in the league. It gets a little much, doesn't it? I mean, it's amazing. Two weeks ago, he was inducted to the Colorado Sports Hall of Fame. He's the best. And as you may or may not know, Chauncey's younger brother, Rodney, is on my staff, on our staff at the University of Colorado. And I've gotten a chance over the last 5 years to get to know the Billups family. And when I think about Chauncey Billups, I don't think of the NBA player or the great high school player or even the great player at CU. I think of a great family man. And if any of you know his beautiful wife, Piper, we've got 3 very, very talented daughters. It's all about family for Chauncey, and I've gotten to know that over the last 5 years. It's amazing. Every time I see his parents, I can't bring myself to call them by their first name. It's always Mr. or Mrs. Billups. I have such respect for them. And having worked with Rodney for the last 5 years, and I told Rodney I was going to do this today, I want to bring to the podium today the one and the only Rodney Billups' older brother.
Thanks, Dad.
You're the best, man.
First of all, thank you. Thanks, Tad. So proud of what you've been able to do with the program. Of course, I'm a proud Buffalo and Colorado native, so I'm very happy about that. But first and foremost, I want to thank God for the talents and abilities that he blessed me with, putting me in a position of influence, and just as important, giving me the opportunity, giving me the wisdom to not misuse that influence. And I'm very thankful for that. Thank you to the Boy Scouts, the board, the committee for giving me the opportunity to come here and speak today as the keynote speaker and putting a lot of pressure on me. As I looked at that list, as I looked at the list of the people that have spoke at this event, it put a lot of pressure on me. I mean, I couldn't help but think, and I said this last night, I couldn't help but think it was maybe a couple people that said no, so they asked me. But I'm so happy and thankful that whoever they asked said no. So I'm here, and I'll make you guys suffer through my speech. But as I started thinking about what I would say last night, I was sitting back and I'm thinking about the things that I should talk about. And I look at the Boy Scout motto, which is be prepared. And I couldn't help but think that's really the motto that I kind of live by, that I learned from one of my childhood coaches right here in Northeast Denver. His name was Coach Kearney. And his message was a little different, but it meant the same thing. And his message that I adopted was, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And it means the same thing to me, and I'll tell you a little bit about how he came to that in 1 second. But first, I'll tell you a quick funny story about a time, my rookie year, my first game I ever played in the NBA. This is something that I have to admit I wasn't prepared for. So I'm third pick in the draft, as Taz said. So we have 2 rookies on our team, myself and Ron Mercer, who was the 6th pick in the draft. And our first game was against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. What's so funny? No, but my first game was against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Now, by the way, 6 months before that, I'm right up the road here in Boulder, and I got posters of Michael Jordan in my dorm room. So you can imagine kind of how I'm feeling. I'm so in awe of this guy. I can't believe that I'm on the court with Michael Jordan. So, okay, I know all of you guys have probably watched the basketball game. So Scottie Pippen is shooting a free throw. And, he's shooting a free throw, and the big guys line up to get the rebound, and then all the guards kind of stand around the perimeter, around the three-point line. So you got the guards that are standing around is Steve Kerr, it's myself, and about 3 or 4 feet away from me is Michael Jordan, and on the other side of him is Ron Mercer. So Scottie Pippen's at the free throw line, but I have to admit, I don't know if he made it, missed it, anything, because the whole time, as MJ is standing right there, I'm looking at, I just can't take my eyes, I can't. This is a true story, I'm telling you. I just can't take my eyes off of him because I can't believe I'm out here. And so I'm looking at everything. I mean, he's bent over, slumped over, kind of breathing heavy. I'm looking at his shoes. I'm looking at his shorts, the little knee brace that he used to wear that never made it to the knee. It was on the calf. I'm looking at that. And I'm looking at how he's chewing his gum, everything. I just can't stop looking at this guy. And I look past him, and Ron Mercer's doing the same thing. And it's the most amazing thing. So he never took a glance at us at all. I mean, he's chewing his gum, he's looking straight, he's looking at the play, he's focused, what we should be doing. But he's focused, he's looking, and Scottie makes or misses his first free throw. I still don't know because I haven't looked. I'm still looking at him. And out of nowhere, I hear this deep, grown voice, and he's bending down and he says, "What the hell are you looking at, young fella?" Right? So as soon as he says that, I look up, I look in the stands, I'm trying to play it off. I'm embarrassed. So I'm trying to play it off. I look up in the stands and I take a peek over there to Ron. Ron's doing the same thing. He's looking up. He's looking up in the stands and the play goes on. Scottie makes the next free throw. We get the ball. We play on. So after the game, Ron and I, we don't sit by each other in the locker room. So when we finally get to the shower, we talk about it because we didn't talk about it in front of the team. You got to understand, we're still embarrassed and we couldn't believe what happened. So I walk up to him, I said, "Ron, man, wasn't that crazy, man?" He was like, "Dang, I feel like such an idiot, man." And I said, "Why?" And he was just like, "I don't know, we're on the same court with this guy. We shouldn't be like that." I said, "Well, I don't feel like an idiot, but one thing I do know is he was talking to you." And he says, "No, he wasn't. He was talking to you." So we got this running joke of, who he was talking to. I'm pretty sure he was talking to both of us. But that's a quick, funny thing. But my message today is going to be being prepared, and that's something that I absolutely was not prepared for. But it's something that one of the best days of my life, really, and going on in my career and getting to know MJ a little bit. He didn't really remember the story because he was a big trash talker, but I always remembered that. So that was great. That was great. So, you know, on with my story, I mean, I talked about my childhood coach that basically I adopted that motto that he gave me at a very, very young age of stay ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And where that came from was Coach Kearney. He was a great high school player here at Manual High School. He went on to DU and was a great player at DU. And everybody around here, including himself, thought that he would be a pro. So the draft came and went. He didn't get drafted. And so he got depressed and he was, you know, disappointed. He stopped working out. And lo and behold, 6 months later, a professional team calls him to come and work out. Now, obviously, he hadn't been working out, so he went, took the workout. It was him and another guy. And obviously, him not being prepared, he didn't get the call back. So coming back and all the guys that he taught and coached, he gave them the same message, not just me. But he always said to me, if I was prepared and if I was ready, I would have lived my dream. I would have been a pro because I was far better than the guy that they brought, but he was far more prepared than me. So that's the message that he gave me at a very, very young age. And I just never forgot that. I never was going to let that be the reason why I didn't make it. So that was when I first started. So fast forward a couple of years to the 8th grade. And my whole thing was I wanted to be the best player that I could possibly be. And at that time in the 8th grade, I kind of dominated my age group. But I was going on to high school, and I knew that I was going to George Washington, a very reputable high school for basketball. DPS, it was where I always wanted to go. My family went there. My mother and father went to East. They was a little mad that I didn't go. But a lot of my family at the time that were my cousins, they went to George Washington, and I just wanted to go there. And my goal as an 8th grader going into 9th grade is, my whole goal was I wanted to make the varsity as a freshman. That was my goal. So knowing that, I'm thinking to myself when I'm saying, okay, if I want to make the varsity as a freshman, that means I'm going to have to supplant somebody that was already on that varsity team. I'm going to have to be better than them. These guys are a little older than me, probably a little stronger, a little bigger than me. I'm going to have to do something that's going to stand out to these coaches for me to make it. So all summer, the rec center opens. The rec center that I grew up at, it was Skyland Recreation Center. Now it's Hiawatha Davis. It opened at 9 o'clock every morning. So I would get 8:15. It was about a 25 minute walk. If I walked there and if I caught the bus, it was about 10 minutes. I would grab my basketball, grab my little brother. At 8:15 every morning, we take off and we go walk to the gym. We get there about 8:45, 8:50. They open it up at 9, so we're the first kids in the door every single day, no days off, with the exception of Sundays. Every day we're the first kids in the door. And my thing was, if my goal was to make the varsity, I had to learn how to play with older kids, how to dominate older kids, and feel comfortable and confident enough to know that I'm just not gonna walk in to that gym and dominate. There's a process, there's a procedure, there's a process that goes through. If you want to be great, you have to work at it. So all day long, I'm playing against, I'm there from 9 to 6 every single day, every day. So they became like my babysitter, and so many people in that rec center raised me because I was just there so much. But whoever came on the court, I was gonna play against them. It didn't matter if it was a kid my age, a little girl my age, younger than me, a grown man, a kid that was in high school. I played against everybody. I took on every challenge, and I got beat down a few times, but it taught me, and it erased that fear for me of going to high school and having to compete against older guys that were maybe on the varsity. So a couple months later, I'm in high school. Tryouts come. I'm ready now. I'm ready to go. And I go and I play well, and not only do I make the varsity, but I'm starting point guard on the varsity team. We have a great season because we have some really good players there, some veteran players. We had a great season. I go on that season and I don't know how it happened, but I'm the state player of the year as a freshman in the state. All because of me being prepared and me, adopting that motto, just like these Boy Scouts did, of being prepared. I mean, I'm the player of the year in the state, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. Had some great teams, played with some great guys, had a great coach. But it was all because of my mentality and my work ethic and my desire and my dedication. That's what I kind of pinpoint that to. And now I come to my senior year, and as Tad said, I was recruited. At that point, I became one of the better players in the country, and not just in Colorado, just because of that 8:45 getting at the gym every single day. I mean, it worked for me my freshman year, so I did it my sophomore year. I did it my junior year. I did it every single year I was at the gym. If you didn't know where to find me, just call the rec center. That was just how it was for all of my family, and that's just how I was raised. So my 12th grade year, I'm at the point now where I'm being recruited by everybody. I mean, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan, Arizona, UCLA, everybody. Colorado, there was a coach there who was an assistant coach. His name is Ricardo Patton. And he recruited me really, really hard. And to be honest, I don't even know if he thought he had a chance because of so many other great schools in the race. But in his recruitment, he reminded me of one of the guys or several of the guys that helped raise me at the rec center. He never really told me what I wanted to hear. He told me what I needed to hear. And we talked a lot about basketball. We talked more about life, and me having an opportunity to come there and learn how to be a man and learn etiquette and learn how to speak and learn how to dress and things that resonated with me that it probably wouldn't have resonated with another 17, 18-year-old kid. And so I just fell in love with that recruiting process, and I went on a few visits to some of these big-time schools, and out of the blue, I committed to Colorado. I didn't even visit Colorado, but I didn't even visit at all. But I knew, and we all know when it feels right, and it felt right to me to go there and to be up under his tutelage and his mentorship and to be able to have that. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like him every day because he was so tough, man. Golly, he wore me out. He was the toughest coach I ever played for. And I'll tell you a funny story. My first day of school in college, first day, I mean, I'm so excited. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I got my nice clothes on. I'm walking across the campus. I get to my class. It's an auditorium. There's 500 kids in this auditorium. I'm coming from George Washington, where it's 30 kids in the class, and it's diverse. It's a very diverse school. So I walk into this class. It's 500 kids in here. It's 2 blacks, including myself. And the other kid is so far over that I can't even get there to meet. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was the first time in my life I had really been intimidated. And I really was. I was intimidated. So right away, I walked out of the classroom, walked to the basketball office, coach is sitting there, and he said, "Chauncey, what you doing here?" I said, "Man, coach, you gotta get me out of this class, man. I went to this class, coach. It's 500 kids in there. It's only 2 black. I don't know if I'm really ready for that, man. Like, you gotta get me out of this class." And he said, "Chauncey, what happened? Did somebody say something to you? What happened?" I said, no, nobody said anything. I didn't really give him a chance. I just walked out of there. And he was like, "Okay, that's cool." And he was like, "So how long did it take you to get over here?" I said, "I don't know, 5, 6 minutes." He's like, "Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna give you 5 or 6 minutes to get back into class and I'll see you at practice," right? So I'm like, huh? But coach, Chauncey, I'll see you at practice. And I got out of there, and I'm telling you, man, my feelings were so hurt, man, because here I am, the biggest recruit to ever come there. He never said no to me in the process. But again, he always told me what I needed to hear. And I always respect that about him, but I didn't always like it. But that was one of the most valuable lessons in my life that it taught me. You know, here I am thinking I'm the guy on campus. You know, I'm feeling a little entitled at the time. I'm a little full of myself. Everybody's eagerly anticipating my arrival on this campus. And I go to the guy, the reason why I came to that school, and he just shut me right down, man. Shut me right down for the right reasons. And I loved it. I didn't love it at the time, but I love what I learned from it. And it was a great learning experience for me. Just that learning experience right there was fantastic. It spoke volumes for me. And I'll be honest, going to see you, I had a lot of fun, but immediately when I walked on campus, all my goals kind of changed. I mean, I'm thinking now, I'm good enough to be a pro one day, and I want to make it and be a pro. But I was an edge kind of guy, so I always was willing to do whatever I could do to be better than my competitor. The guys that I'm gonna have to face, I wanted to do something that they weren't doing. So at CU, I'll be honest, it was the #1 party school in the country at the time, but I wasn't a partier because I was so focused on my craft and trying to be great. So what I did was, we had a graduate assistant at the time. We were very, very close. So at 11 o'clock every night that we didn't have a game, I was in the gym. We had the key. He and I were in the gym working out, training, because again, I was an edge guy. I needed the edge on my competitor. So I felt like if I'm training and working out at 11 p.m., everybody that I'm gonna play against, whether it's my teammates or the guys at Kansas or the guys at whatever, Texas, any other school, all of those guys are living the college life right now. And they're hanging out and they're partying and they're doing the things that college students do. But I'm in the gym and I'm grinding. And when they see me and we play against each other, they're gonna know that something's a little different. And so that was always kind of my mindset. That's just kind of how will fuel my fire. That's what I always thought about, is how I'm gonna be better. How I can be prepared, how I can be more prepared than the next guy. So I leave CU after 2 years, and I'm the third pick in the draft. And as a third pick in the draft, I'm thinking I'm to the Celtics. I mean, one of the most storied franchises in the history of the NBA. And you talk about all the names and the people was there. I'm meeting Red Auerbach and all of this stuff. And I'm thinking, with my mindset and my work ethic, I'm going to be here for the next 15 years, and I'm going to have a great career, and we're going to win championships. You look at all these banners in the Boston Garden, and I'm thinking, man, this is it. I made it. I'm going to be a Celtic for a long, long time. By the way, I always hated the Celtics, though. I swear, I wasn't a Laker fan. I was a Magic Johnson fan, so that was the budding rivalry. So I always hated the Celtics, but I loved them that day. When they took me, it changed my life, so it was all good. But so I'm thinking, yeah, man, this is it. I'm gonna be a Celtic forever. And I soon realized, one, I left CU at the time that I left it because we were hot. I wouldn't have gotten any hotter. All the seniors were leaving, and I knew the next few years would be tough for me. They'd probably be double teaming me, and I probably wouldn't have had great seasons and great success winning wise. So it was time to go. But I knew my game wasn't really ready. But I didn't know how far behind I was until I got to that first training camp. And now I'm in the pros now, and it's grown men now. So for me to supplant somebody now would really be like me taking somebody's job, affecting somebody's family. And people in the NBA played with that kind of fire that it's like, no, you even though you're a young, good player, high draft pick, you got to earn it. You got to earn it, which I had no problem with, but it was just different. So it took me some time to adjust to that. I mean, I was always good enough at CU, my 11 o'clock workouts. I never really worried about the tendencies of the guys I played against, because I knew if I was working as hard as I could, I was going to dominate them. Well, that didn't work at this level. It didn't work at the NBA level. So I had to learn how to study my opponent, how to study film, knowing second, third, fourth option of plays, knowing how to read different situations defensively. And that took some time for me because I had to be taught that. I didn't really know that. I I had to be taught that. So it took some time. So my first 5 years, played on 5 different teams. And every single team that I left, I learned something from. I took something from it. I didn't hang my head and say, oh, it's not going to happen, it's not going to make it. I used it as a positive experience, learning experience for me. And I took that with me and I put it all in the back of my head. Every single one of those experiences I took and I learned from every single one of them. And finally, some years later, I get to Detroit and I'm finally ready now. I'm finally ready. So I'm grateful to have had another opportunity to show who I can be. I'm finally ready. I'm finally ready to lead. I finally learned the things that were necessary for me to learn. And I really never looked back since then. I mean, I played for some great coaches, played with some great players. And obviously, as Tad said, won a championship, been an all-star, all of those great things. And really, you know, when we're in the finals in 2004, and I want to win this championship so bad. I didn't shoot for MVP. I didn't really care about that. I wanted to win because I knew I was a leader on the team. I always felt I was a winner. And the only reason I wanted to win is because I wanted to validate to the world what I always felt about myself. And up to that point, I hadn't, you know, I hadn't. And even though I was never going to let the naysayers dictate, you know, my fate and tell me what I couldn't be, but my first 5 years, they were winning. They were winning because it wasn't quite working out for me and I wasn't quite playing so great. However, I stayed focused. I continued to prepare and my time came back around. So when I go win that championship, it was a big deal for me because I just wanted to validate again what I felt about myself and to have everybody kind of feel the same way about me and what I was capable of doing. So that was a blessing for me. And there's 2 guys, so there's 2 guys that I spoke about, Coach Patton and Coach Kearney. But there's one guy that I didn't speak about that was one of my childhood coaches. His name was Rick Callahan. And Rick coached me through middle school, and I learned, he challenged me so much. He challenged me more than any coach ever challenged me, especially at a young age. He would challenge me everything from, Chauncey, I want to see if you can make the honor roll. Okay, I want to see if you can make it again. I want to see if you can dominate a game, Chauncey, without scoring. Just a lot of things that he challenged me with. I want to see our best three-point shooter at that time was named Reggie Gibson. And he would tell me, Chauncey, I want to see if you can get Reggie 6 open three-pointers in this game. Just things like that and I always lived on challenges and people telling me I couldn't do certain things. That's probably the reason why I made it to the level that I made it to. So I would always kind of fix my mind and say, okay, Coach Rick don't think that I can do that. I'm gonna show him that I can do that. And that's just kind of how it worked. But Rick was a wonderful blessing for me in my life. So again, he always challenged me. At a young age, I told Rick, all I want to do in my life is just be successful. You know, I'm coming from Northeast Denver where, you know, it's a gang-infested neighborhood. It's a lot of drugs. It's a lot of death. A lot of my friends that I grew up with became gang members. Some of them are still in prison now. Some of them got murdered. And I didn't want to be those guys. I didn't want to be that. I didn't want that to be my life. So in talking to Rick, I would just always say, I just want to be successful. You know, I want to be the first person in my family to go to college. I want to get a degree, and if I'm lucky enough, maybe make it to the professional ranks in basketball, but maybe that's not likely, but I know I can go to college and I can get my degree. So those are things that we talked about at a very young age, very young age. So we kept in touch. He continued to challenge me all the time. My peaks and valleys, it didn't matter. He would challenge me, it didn't matter. So we won the championship. Rick calls me after that and he says, Chauncey, well, you did it, man. You did it. You became very, very successful. You graduated from college. You're a pro. You're at the top of the game. Now what? And I'm thinking, and I'm just like, I just want to keep it going, you know? I just want to keep it going. I don't know what. And he said, well, I'm going to challenge you again, Chauncey. I said, all right, this is what we do. What we got? So he's like, you know, you did it, man. You became very, very successful. And there's one thing that I want you to do. And I said, okay, cool. He said, I want you to take that success and I want you to always continue to be successful, but I want you to become significant. He said, I want you to become significant. And I'll be honest, at first, it took me a day or so, and I called him back. And I said, Rick, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm not going to let you down, and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to become significant, and I'm going to pass it on, and I'm going to give back, and I'm going to do the things that people did for me growing up in the inner city that maybe I don't have an opportunity to do the things that I've done if it's not for, some people showing interest in me. And I said, I promise you I will do that. And I have. That's one of the things I've always, since he told me that, I've always been very, very, took a lot of pride in that. Well, a year ago, Rick, out of nowhere, healthy, strong as ever, he just fell out and passed away. And man, it was a tough day for me and my family. But as I told Rick then, and as I will always, I'm never gonna let him down. For the reasons why I love our children and our kids, I'll never let them down. I'll always be significant. I'll always give back. I'll always do the things that my heart tells me to do. And as I leave here today, I would challenge everybody here to do the same and to be the same. Always be prepared and to be out here, go out here in this world. And I'm quite certain everybody already is, but just to go out here and just be significant in the world, in a world that we talk about our children, we talk about our kids that really, really need it. And we have a lot of people here that can help and that can do great things. And I just challenge everybody here to be significant as well. I want to thank everybody for listening to me and my crazy stories. And good morning again. I hope I didn't put you guys back to sleep this morning. But thank you so much, and God bless you guys.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That was so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thanks, Dad. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We really can't let you sit down too fast. I was thinking, Chauncey, I have two little boys that they know stats. They love basketball. They can tell you how tall every player is, and we always tell them a role model isn't just about the stats.
That's right.
And I just want to thank you for being a role model who had the stats but is significant. And it's amazing to meet someone with such great success and such great humility. And you're just amazing. I'm so glad that you were here today. So as a token from the Scouts, please take this and remember this morning how much it means to all of us that you would share your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The Mackenzie statue.
Thank you,